going on, Merc fam? In today's review, we're going to be going over Space Jam 2: A New Legacy, starring my guy LeBron James. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that everybody likes, subscribes, and go ahead, tap that notification bell one time for your boy. I just want to make sure that everything I post, you are aware of. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this Space Jam review. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews on this movie, and I'm not really understanding why. It seems that a lot of people are expecting a lot from this movie. Look, the first Space Jam starring Michael Jordan is a big pair of shoes to fill. Now, I must admit, I do believe the first Space Jam is way better, but you gotta remember, that was our first introduction to the concept of this movie, with Michael Jordan being sucked into the Toon world and all the Toon Squad, Goon Squad jazz. So I can understand how some people might view this one. The strange thing is that these two movies couldn't be any more different. In A New Legacy, we find LeBron James trying to balance what it is to be a father and a coach. He's trying to motivate his kids to be the best athletes that they can be. Of course, his oldest son wants to be just like him. King James is trying to push the same future upon his youngest son. We learn in this movie his son has a greater love for electronics and game design more than playing the game of basketball. Even though he has a lot of skills on the court, he really wants to pursue doing something in that realm of video games. In the opening scenes of this movie, LeBron James is a kid. His mom is dropping him off at basketball practice. One of his friends gives him a Game Boy, and as he's playing it, he's called into the game off the bench. He ends up not playing the best that he could, and his coach tells him, look, you're not going to get far playing these games. If you want to win, you got to rely on the fundamentals. And from that moment on, LeBron James took it upon himself to be the best athlete, which brings us back to his youngest son's conflict. LeBron James wants him to be a very good star and put the games to the side, but his son has such a love for video games that he wants to do this E3 gaming event the same weekend he's supposed to go to basketball camp. I'm gonna give a spoiler warning at this point. If you really want to watch this movie, which I believe you should pause this, go watch it, come right back. You already know what it is. I got this in the bag for you. For some, the problem might have began when LeBron James started acting on camera. God, he is really terrible at acting. I'm not gonna lie, but as the movie progressed, I did see him get a little more comfortable and do a little better in the final scenes. But anyway, like I said, the problem. So Warner Brothers has this gigantic server room beneath all the floors of Warner Brothers Studios. They have this algorithm which comes up with an idea to bring in LeBron James and use his identity in other movies, and I thought that that was pretty cool. The way that they portrayed this algorithm was a really good play on what's going on nowadays in this century with technology. Like, it's gotten to a point where the agents and producers don't make ideas, this algorithm does. So Don Cheadle's character comes up with the plan to bring in LeBron James and use him, like I said, but LeBron turns him down, which makes Don Cheadle very angry. He ends up kidnapping LeBron's son and LeBron James. The difference between this movie and the other is that all of these characters are in the server, okay? In the first Space Jam, it really seemed like there was just a universe of Looney Tunes, and there was some sort of veil or thin line between their reality and ours that we were at some point able to step between. Like in the first, when you saw Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck sneak into Michael Jordan's home to get all his practice gear, and then obviously you got Michael Jordan and Stan Podolak showing up in the Looney Tunes world. This movie dibbles and dabbles in this server, electronic, pixelated reality, and it is there that the movie is based. I really enjoyed how algorithm pinned LeBron James up against his son, playing on opposite teams. Not only did Dominic James, aka LeBron's son, design video games, he really wanted to design a basketball video game that he was going hard for, and actually algorithm uses his information and his game style to have this basketball tournament. So it's not even like a regular game of basketball, it's like a video game version where you got style points opposed to the regular old basketball rules. Now, I'm not trying to super spoil it for you. I'm gonna leave out a lot of the tension and details. I just want you guys to get the drift of it, all right? In the movie, he is pinned upon not only an opposing team, but he is fighting for the freedom of his son. Also, in the movie, there are a ton of guest appearances in the crowd. Just off the top of my head, I saw the Flintstones, Penguin, Robin, King Kong. To be honest, there was a certain point in the movie where they're playing basketball, and I should have been paying attention to the game, but I was really looking in the crowd. Another thing that I noticed is that they weren't precise replicas of what we've seen in the Warner Brothers movies, there were like weird versions of them. I'm sure that if you take this movie and pause it frame by frame during that basketball scene, you'll see a lot more Easter egg characters. At the end of the day, I had a really good time with the new Space Jam movie. There was one really big colossal joke that when I seen it, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm sure that at some point when you watch this movie on HBO Max and you see the really big scene, you're gonna think of me and you're gonna be like, oh, this is what Merc was talking about. I know that a lot of you are not gonna agree with me, but I'm gonna give Space Jam a 6 out of 10. My whole family enjoyed this movie and I took it with a grain of salt. There's no need to watch this movie and be angry and try to pick it apart. Sometimes you have to just enjoy a movie for what it is. It doesn't necessarily have to mirror the exact thing that Michael Jordan did, but they had to refresh it and show us something new. And I can appreciate the writers and the producers for taking the time to create something that is nothing like the first. But what did you guys think of this review? Did you hate it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Have you seen Space Jam? Should I have given it a higher or lower rating than I did? Only way that I'm gonna know is if you jump into my community section and we have a full-on discussion. That's right, I have surpassed 1,000 subscribers, which means we can have a full-on conversation on my community board. It makes me so happy to see how many people are really supporting me and take the time to comment on my channel. But you already know what it is, man. It's your boy Merc. It's been a pleasure, but I'm out.
Movie, but we know that you acting with all of this heat, melt you up like you plastic. Niggas will switch up on you in a moment, like a stack of hundreds. I'm never folding. Heard they changed on me, I never noticed. Hit her and her friends, once that's a bonus. At the top, but I came from the lowest. Married to the money, yeah, I'm devoted.